The discovery was made by a team of the Scan Pyramids project, experts who have been scanning the pyramid with high-tech instruments to study its internal structure. However, at the moment, they do not know what function the tunnel had. Since the project began in 2015, several unknown chambers and spaces have been located inside the pyramid. Scientists hope to find more unknown rooms and hallways. The German carmaker has undergone turbulent times during the last few years, but has managed to stabilize its sales. It desperately wants to earn back the trust of its customers, especially in the United States. A short time ago, Volkswagen agreed to pay billions of dollars in compensation for installing software that would show wrong emission data in diesel vehicles. Cars are automobiles that can transport people. It is the main means of traveling for hundreds of millions of people all over the world. Cars have changed the way we live probably more than any other invention in history. At first only a few people had cars, but after a while more and more people bought them because they improved the way people lived. Farmers with cars were able to bring their products to places that were farther away. The appearance of cities and towns also changed. More and more workers drove to their jobs and people started to move to suburbs outside the town centers. Automobiles give people many jobs. Millions of people around the world work in factories where cars are produced. Millions more work at gas stations, restaurants or motels that travelers stop at. Most automobiles are powered by an internal combustion engine. Fuel, usually gasoline or petrol, is burned with air to create gases that expand. A spark plug creates a spark that ignites the gas and makes it burn. This energy moves through cylinders in which pistons slide up and down. They are attached to rods that move a crankshaft. Normal car engines have 4 to 6 cylinders, but there are also models with 8 and 16 cylinders. The turning movement is passed through the drivetrain to the drive wheels. The engine and all parts that carry power to the wheels are called the drivetrain. It includes the transmission, drive shaft, differential, the axles and the drive wheels that move the car. While most cars have drive wheels in the front, some have them in the back. Cars that need to drive over all kinds of ground have a four-wheel drive.
When a car burns, fuel gases are produced. They must be removed so that new fuel can be burned. The pistons in the engine cylinders force gas out of the engine. It passes through a muffler into tailpipes. The muffler also keeps the car running quietly. For about 30 years, cars have been equipped with a catalytic converter. It reduces pollution by converting harmful gases into carbon dioxide and water. Even though today's car is a great machine that is fast, elegant and beautiful to look at, engineers are constantly working on a car that will make today's automobile look old. Experts say that future cars will be made of plastics and carbon fibers that will be stronger and lighter than steel. As oil is becoming more and more expensive, alternative power sources are being explored. American car producers have also been working on ways to make diesel engines more fuel efficient. Diesel produces more energy when it burns, and sulfur emissions from the engine produce a strong smell. Because gasoline-powered cars remain the most popular type of vehicle in the United States, American car makers make diesel-powered cars mainly for the European market. When harmful elements get into the air, they may cause health problems and can also damage the environment, buildings and soil. They make the ozone layer thinner and lead to the warming of the Earth's atmosphere and climate changes. Our modern lifestyle has led to dirtier air over the years. Factories, vehicles of all kinds, the growing number of people are some things that are responsible for air pollution today. Carbon monoxide is a colorless gas that is set free when wood, petrol or coal are not completely burned. It is also in products like cigarettes. Because of it, less oxygen enters our blood and it makes us confused and sleepy. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that gets into the atmosphere when we burn coal, oil or wood. Chlorofluorocarbons are gases that come from air conditioning systems or refrigerators. When they get into the air, they rise high into the atmosphere. There, they get into contact with other gases and destroy the ozone layer. We need the ozone layer because it protects us from the sun's ultraviolet rays. Lead is in petrol, paint, batteries and other products. It is very dangerous if it gets into our bodies. In some cases it can even cause cancer. There are two types of ozone that we know of. Natural ozone is in the upper part of our atmosphere, but on the ground, people produce ozone too. Traffic and factories cause ground ozone. It is especially dangerous to children and older people. It makes them tired and doctors suggest not to go outdoors when there is too much ozone in the air. Another result of air pollution is acid rain. It happens when sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide get into the air. When it rains, the water that comes down on us has these dangerous substances in it. Acid rain can also be caused by volcanic eruptions. Volcanoes send poisonous gases high up into the atmosphere. Acid rain leads to the destruction of forests, lakes and soil. Many lakes and rivers have been poisoned over the decades, and even some types of fish have disappeared. Buildings also corrode because of acid rain. The pollutants can travel in the air for a long time before they come down to Earth. That's why it's sometimes hard to tell where dangerous pollutants originate. Acid rain that destroys forests and lakes in Austria and Germany may come from power stations in Eastern European countries. The job of cleaning up our air is difficult but not impossible. Choosing other forms of energy, like solar energy, wind energy, or tidal energy, could be used for controlling pollution. Cities like London have shown that better air quality can be achieved in a short time. But we individuals can also help make the air around us cleaner. Smog is a combination of smoke and fog. It occurs when gases from burnt fuel get together with fog on the ground. When heat and sunlight get together with these gases, they form fine, dangerous particles in the air. Smog occurs in big cities with a lot of traffic. Especially in the summertime, when it is very hot, smog stays near the ground. It is dangerous to our breathing, and in smog areas we can't see very well. Smog was first discovered in Great Britain in the 19th century, during the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. At that time, people used coal for heating and cooking. Factories also used coal to produce iron and steel. Smoke got together with wet, foggy air and turned yellow. The smog often stayed over cities for many days. It caused lung diseases and breathing problems. Thousands of people died in London every year. Today, cities that have a high population and are located in hot, subtropical areas have the biggest smog problems: Los Angeles, Mexico City, or Cairo. A lot has been done to prevent smog recently. Factories use coal that doesn't have that much sulfur in it. And cars are much cleaner today. In some cities, cars aren't even allowed to drive on smog days. Our atmosphere filters the sunlight and keeps dangerous rays from reaching our planet. Without such a filter, it would get too hot during the daytime. At night, it prevents heat from escaping so it does not get too cold. Without an atmosphere, life on our planet would not be possible. It also makes our world a more pleasant place to live. Air carries sound waves, which let us hear voices or listen to music.
There are more than 350 million indigenous people living in 90 countries. They represent 5,000 different cultures and speak the great majority of the thousands of languages that are spoken around the world today. Indigenous communities often have distinct beliefs, culture, and customs. Many indigenous people still live in very close contact with the land, with a respect for and understanding of their natural surroundings. Indigenous peoples are not the dominant groups in the societies they live in. The dominant groups are the people that arrived later. This means that indigenous peoples have suffered from many problems related to a lack of economic power, social protection, and political representation. They are more likely to have limited access to healthcare and education, and members of indigenous communities live shorter lives than non-indigenous groups. Their languages are not normally taught in schools, and many of these languages are in danger of disappearing. Many indigenous peoples do not have control over their land. Governments and companies take their land to cut down trees, to farm cows, or for other activities that use these natural resources and damage the environment. This often forces indigenous people to leave their land, losing their ancestral homes and their source of wealth and food. Making sure indigenous peoples have legal rights over their land and resources is a matter of human rights. It also brings environmental benefits to the planet. Deforestation rates in Bolivia, Brazil, and Colombia were 2 to 3 times lower in forests officially belonging to indigenous communities. Importantly, the Declaration defends indigenous peoples' right to make decisions about the use and protection of their ancestral land. It also sets out many rights, including indigenous peoples' rights to education and healthcare, participation in political and legal processes, and the protection of indigenous languages.